Hello team, I am Barney Crompton from Dubai,
I'm Ben Crompton from Abu Dhabi.
and together, united, we are the Two Fat Brokers.
We shall never be split asunder.
Welcome to our newest podcast. It's about time for a Q3 roundup.
Market update.
Market update.
Upcap.
You get them hot off the press here. So, one thing I would like to mention, and I'm sure the news is
So
hit.
where are we? We're in Q4 2023.
We are just midway through Q4 2023. But we're going to talk about the market so far, little highlights on Q3, I suppose.
Where the market is right now in Dubai.
Well, I mean, we're not here to talk about the market right now. We're going to talk about Q3. And Q3 in Dubai has been very buoyant. You know, there's been a lot of transactions. Again, the palm has remained hot. I actually saw a report recently through JLL, I think it was, that the busiest market in Dubai has been Jumeirah Village Circle.
You told me that.
Of all places, highest volume of transactions, and
More
one
than
of the
Marina, but the Marina's massive.
Marina's massive.
But the circle is making waves.
I mean, again, you kind of Marina. There's probably going to be a higher concentration of own to live rather than investment, like there is in JVC. JVC has always predominantly been quite an investor-driven community, whereas the Marina price point, probably the returns aren't going to be quite as good. So a lot more investors are looking at JVC, which is brilliantly placed in terms of getting to Al Khail Road to the airport, downtown Marina. So that was news to me. I mean, obviously, I think we've seen the highest price rises on the Palm Jumeirah. From the beginning of the year, I'd say they've gone up. Anecdotally, depending on what it is, but I'd say around 20% this year. Bearing in mind we're in end of November, early December.
And you and I had an interesting conversation about the value that renovations are now bringing to property, whereas they didn't in the in the flat times, we'll call them 2015 to 2020. Renovations didn't really add much value, but now
Not
you're
really
seeing
at
that.
all. No,
that
they added
pumping.
value in terms of rental, but since 2000, I mean, it didn't happen in 2018, but there was a huge drive in 2019, 2020 to renovate and sell. People call it flipping. My impression of flipping is slightly different. That's buying and then selling for a profit immediately. This is renovation. This is, it's actually very good for a market. Oh, excuse me. It's actually very good for a market when people are investing on regenerating properties because, some of the communities in Dubai, they're bordering on 20 years old, some even more. And, a 20-year-old house without any renovations is going to feel quite dilapidated. But when a community starts to be regenerated, it brings the community up. It adds more value. People start to look after their gardens more, the facades of the houses more. The curb appeal becomes exponentially better. And in that in itself will elevate a community. So we saw a big rise of that. A lot of the stock that was bought in 2019, 2020 is now reaching the market. Because it'll take
plan
you...
stock.
No. Sorry, the property that's been bought and developed, and then
They bought it, they renovated, now it's coming to
with the sole purpose. The sole purpose of selling for a profit, and they are typically the things that are driving the market. Now, the mindset in Dubai is the neighbours sold for this fully renovated. That means my value of a very standard house, exactly the same floor plan, has been elevated too. Now, what we're finding at the moment, and this has been happening slowly after probably over the last 6 to 8 months, people are not interested in buying overvalued standard houses, and sellers are thinking my house should be worth the cost of the neighbour's house minus whatever they spent on renovation, call it $1 million dirhams. So the neighbour's house is worth 10, mine's worth 9.
Got you.
Buyers are saying, well, where's my sweat equity? If I want to buy this house, I'm going to put in the $1 million dirhams. I'm going to break even. Even an end user wants to know that the time and effort that they've put into redeveloping a house is going to make them some profit.
Yeah,
And
because it's a pain.
It's a pain.
Like,
it's a pain.
You're
And
about
it's
to have renovations
long.
done. I'm having them done now. I've been living in my bedroom. It's a real pain in the what's it.
And
so there's got to be some value in that.
Well, what that's done is made sure that all of the renovated properties have been sold, and all of the standard ones, unless they're priced very aggressively, have just sat there. And I think people are now beginning to realise towards the end of Q3 that they aren't able to get the inflated prices that they wanted. I'd say
for their standard
issue houses. Yeah. When they're seeing the neighbours fly off the shelf at 10 million, why aren't I getting 9? Yeah. So that's been but it's been the perfect storm. The amount of people moving to the UAE who don't want to do all of that work, they don't want the time and the headache.
Yep.
Are able to move straight into these a huge influx of newly renovated houses. So it's been the perfect storm, and that in itself has pushed up the market quite nicely.
Yeah, so I mean, Dubai has seen a massive population increase, right? You can see it on the roads and the beaches, and obviously through the secondary market. Yeah, the traffic. Secondary market real estate is still pretty buoyant.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again,
slowing down, still going.
I mean, are we talking now or are we talking Q3? Because we are now in Q4.
Let's say now. I mean, we're only a month in.
I mean, I lean on my previous statement of, people are beginning to realise that they can't demand the prices that they were for their standard homes. Properties that have been well developed are still selling. But again, 65 million dirhams for a standard signature villa on the Palm, which will probably mean nothing to you. It's a 13,500 plot, 6,000-7,000 built up. People are looking at that and going, I am not going to pay that. That is too much money.
How much?
65 million dirhams. What are we talking, like $8 million? For a 7,000 square foot house on the Palm that needs renovation. And then they look around and they're saying, okay, well, one fully renovated is probably going to set me back 80, 85. I'd rather go for that. And so people who are selling their standard ones thinking, okay, well, the market will come to me because I'm selling something that is in demand, a standard signature villa on the Palm. The market isn't coming to them. Mm-hmm. So they're having to reduce their prices. So we're seeing a bit of a shift, whereas before, build it, put it on the market and they will come and you'll get your price in time. The market will come to you. The market is telling people that perhaps we're not coming to you anymore. Coming. Yeah, perhaps.
I said I'd come. Maybe I'm not just not going to turn up. I said inshallah, so therefore I'm not coming.
I missed my bus.
Know
I'm
your
not
market.
coming. So I mean, in that respect. But again, renovated houses are still selling.
Okay, and I know you're not massively into this. We spoke about it earlier. Off plan, how's that doing?
Actually, I play golf with a couple of chaps who own unique properties. Very nice gentlemen, terrible golfers, but we won't go into that. They said their major issue, I don't know how close I'm supposed to be to this. They said that their major issue at the moment is stock. So anything they get is getting sold.
Hold on, they're a developer?
No, they're a real estate agent solely specialising in off-plan. So they are a bank of
they can't find enough stuff to sell.
Their issue is stock.
Okay.
So from that perspective, I feel like the off-plan market is buoyant.
Yeah.
But the off-plan market has always been something that's been buoyant. Even in the doldrums of 2014, 2015, 2016, the off-plan market was still very strong. I mean, it's boomed even more so now. But the attractive payment plans of 4-year post-handover payment plans, they've gone. Developers have realised they don't have to offer those incentives anymore.
I mean, the standard payment plan in Dubai is like 70-30 or 80-20 or something.
No, 60-40. 60-40 would be your average payment plan now. So, which is clever because you're paying 60% up front, and then when it's finished, you get your keys. You can then get a mortgage because it's a realised asset. Banks will lend you, and the banks will lend
a lot of cash to find. Huh?
But I mean, it is depending on what it is that you're going to buy. But banks will, for an investor, if you own multiple properties, they'll only lend you 40%.
So, it's 40% on your second one, right?
So developers have kind of realised that and gone, okay, well, you can get it for 60% up front. So,
Okay.
what about Abu Dhabi?
Well, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but slow and steady.
The tortoise and the hare.
Yeah, secondary markets flat or slightly up. I would say pretty much across the board. In terms of so by secondary market, I mean stuff that's built that you can move into, but off plan still pumping, absolutely pumping, and we just
why is off plan pumping? Are people saying?
Very good question.
Okay,
I've got a couple of theories.
Shoot, let's have two of them. Top two.
Top two. So investors are looking at the secondary market and saying, I'm not going to get much capital appreciation here. And a lot of, I'd say, don't want to be too snooty, but unsophisticated investors, they just think about capital appreciation. They don't really care about anything else. So they're saying, okay, well, we'll put it in the off-plan market. And we're going to expect that when this is handed over, we'll get a 30 or 40% bump, something.
Well, that used to be what happened in Dubai. That still happens in Abu Dhabi?
No. But that's what people are thinking it's going to be like later.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there's no investors in the secondary market. There is no one looking to buy assets to rent. Very, very few. Despite the fact that probably about 70% of all units in Abu Dhabi are owned, to be rented. That market just isn't there anymore. Every investor is in off plan.
But surely they must look at the market and go, well, nothing on the secondary market is selling. I'm going to dump my finished off plan into the secondary market where nothing's selling.
Well, so it's Warren Buffett would call them speculators. They're basically betting that the market's going to go up, and traditionally Abu Dhabi has followed Dubai up, and we haven't had that kind of rise that you guys have had. So I think people are kind of looking up the road going, well, Dubai's had this 30 or 40% increase over the last year and a half, 2 years. Abu Dhabi's due that as well. We haven't seen it yet, but that's what people are expecting, I think. So that's why they're pushing into this off-plan stuff.
Why do they think that your boom is coming? What are the market?
Well, traditionally, Abu Dhabi's just been slightly behind Dubai in terms of these kind of things.
Yeah,
Dubai would normally boom first, and then Abu Dhabi would kind of get drawn up behind it.
But the things that have made Dubai boom, which is the influx of people, isn't happening to Abu Dhabi.
That's exactly right. So, unless
why are
we
people
see...
not coming to Abu Dhabi? With respect, what you guys are doing down there, and I love Dubai. I'm a Dubai-ophile, but what you guys are doing down there is phenomenal.
Oh, thanks.
Not you. Wind your neck in. The infrastructure, the attractions, the water.
Traffic's amazing.
Traffic's amazing because no one lives there. The traffic is amazing. The sea is like turquoise, is like the Maldives.
Oh, yeah, you were down in one of our hotels a couple of weekends
The Jumeirah Hotel. We had a great time.
Jumeirah Saadiyat.
And I don't understand why nobody's moving there. Is it because it's really boring?
No, I mean, people move for jobs, right? So Dubai's always been this entrepreneurial hub, very good connections, with Russia and the Stans and all this kind of stuff. And people move there and move their businesses and move there to set up businesses.
Other countries are available.
Yeah, whereas Abu Dhabi has traditionally been much more government dependent. So people move there because they get government jobs or they get government contracts and things like that. So Abu Dhabi is really trying to change that and bring in more businesses that can stand on their own 2 feet, that don't rely on the oil industry or various versions of it, so that they can generate jobs without spending money, because that's how jobs were generated in the past in Abu Dhabi. Basically, the government had to go out and hire more people, and they don't want to do that, unless there's something in it for them. So they're trying to kickstart the economy, through more organic means, the way that Dubai has been doing, since its inception,
by building attractions.
Well, that's a tourism side, so that's slightly.
But
different.
that's where Dubai started, with the tourism side.
No, I think Dubai started, as a trading hub.
That's true.
Yeah, and the tourism came afterwards. Yes, but so tourism is great for the economy. It's not going to bring a lot of people into Abu Dhabi in terms of work, some, but not huge numbers. But really what they want are these well-paying jobs. And so the big driver there is the ADGM, the Abu Dhabi Global Markets on Maria Island, and the stuff that they're doing there, with basically the finance industry, trying to attract hedge funds, trying to attract, I think Binance is moving there, trying to, Larry Fink's private offices move there, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, to try and...
Binance are moving to Abu Dhabi?
I think they already did. Maybe I'm making that up. I think so. They're regulated by the ADGM. He's the one who's in a bit of a pickle at the moment. Yeah,
a pickle.
Yeah, a pickle.
A big pickle.
a money laundering pickle. Hey, we should do a podcast about money laundering.
You can't do money laundering. It's on the blockchain. It's impossible to money launder using anything on the blockchain, apparently.
Yeah.
Right. I think we've done it again, Ben. We have started on a great topic and we have meandered.
No, I think I was just given a rundown of where the market is in Abu Dhabi, which is exactly the title of this.
Well, I think you've done brilliantly.
Cast. Thank you very much.
Right. I've been Barney Crompton.
I've been Ben from Crompton from Abu Dhabi.
Ben from Crompton from Abu Dhabi. Do you want to try again?
Hyphenate that.
We have been the Two Fat Brokers. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast.
Thank you very much. See you next time.
Hasta luego. Bye.